Let's imagine the journey of a simple product, say a smartphone, from a design table in California to a chip factory in Taiwan, to assembly in Vietnam, and finally, to a customer in Nairobi. Years ago, these journeys were a patchwork of disconnected links. Today, they form a single integrated chain, fast, digital, and incredibly complex. This is the world of global trade and transport chains in 2025. At first glance, it seems more seamless than ever, powered by AI, digital platforms, and instant data. But look closer, and you'll see a world navigating a sharp paradox. Technology is connecting us, while geopolitics, new risks, and economic pressures are pulling us apart. Let's break this down with real stories and the very latest research. First, integration of trade and transport chains. In 2024, over 80% of world trade by volume still travels by sea, and ports remain the critical gateways. But the old image of a port as just a docking point is history. Today's leading ports are digital nerve centers. Think of Singapore, Rotterdam, or the new tech-driven terminals in Busan, where containers, customs, trucks, and ships are coordinated by AI and real-time data feeds. Amazon, for example, used AI-powered inventory systems to increase processing speed by 75%, a leap that many now try to emulate. The story of Dell's digital supply chain shows how real-time visibility and predictive analytics can turn disruption into opportunity. Why does this matter? Because modern trade no longer tolerates silos or delays. Customers want next-day delivery from the other side of the planet. Integrated digital platforms, like India's Unified Logistics Interface or port community systems in Durban and Hamburg, have made it possible for companies to monitor, reroute, and optimize every step, from sourcing to last-mile delivery. For businesses, this isn't just a tech upgrade, it's the new standard for survival. Now, let's talk about new logistics perspectives, a shift that is both strategic and cultural. For decades, supply chains chased one goal: cut costs at any risk. But after the pandemic, war, and a series of climate shocks, the game changed. Boards now ask, how resilient is our supply chain? Can we absorb shocks, like a sudden Suez Canal closure or a Red Sea reroute? That's why companies are rethinking their networks, using strategies like right-shoring. Instead of always moving production to the lowest cost country, businesses analyze every tier, mapping not just suppliers, but their suppliers' suppliers, checking for hidden vulnerabilities and aligning sourcing with political stability. It's a complicated dance, and not just about economics. Let's take the story of a leading auto manufacturer. They shifted a key plant from China to Mexico for geopolitical reasons, only to realize that a critical microchip still came from a single supplier in Asia, creating a hidden risk. That's when they turned to digital twins, AI-driven virtual models that let them simulate and stress test supply chains in real time, preparing for disruption before it hits. Companies like McDonald's and Zara now use such technology to fine-tune global distribution, and it's fast becoming the industry norm. But it's not only about resilience. Sustainability and ESG have shot up the agenda. The pressure is on to decarbonize, reduce waste, and comply with a growing thicket of regulations. The world's biggest shippers, like Maersk, are investing in biofuels and green corridors, while ports compete to offer green energy for ships at berth. In South Africa, the Port of Durban reduced cargo dwell time by digitizing its clearance process and integrating smart traffic systems, lowering emissions and raising throughput. So what's at the heart of all this transformation? Digitalization. Three technologies, AI, IoT, and blockchain, are converging to make supply chains intelligent. The Internet of Things acts as the nervous system, with sensors tracking goods across oceans, roads, and warehouses. Blockchain provides a secure, tamper-proof record, cutting fraud and paperwork. AI is the brain, analyzing all that data to forecast demand, reroute shipments, optimize warehouse operations, and even negotiate with suppliers. Here's a practical case. UPS's Orion platform uses AI to analyze millions of delivery route options every day, saving miles, money, and tons of CO2. Walmart uses blockchain to track the origin of food, cutting traceability from days to seconds. boosting safety and trust. But not everyone is moving at the same pace. There's a widening digital divide. 80% of digital investments flow to just a handful of countries. Developing regions, struggling with old infrastructure and limited investment, risk being left behind. In Gabon, for instance, poor logistics and customs have hampered the country's export growth, while India's investment in digital infrastructure pushed it up to 38th place in the World Bank's Logistics Performance Index. Now, let's focus on ports and port communities. The role of the port has changed forever. Modern ports are not just points of transfer, but integrated multimodal hubs. Hamburg connects directly to 300 kilometers of rail, pushing goods deep into Europe. Inland ports are spreading like in the US, Midwest, and China, bringing customs, storage, and distribution away from congested coastal areas and closer to consumers and factories. Automation is at the core of these new smart ports. AI-driven cranes, 24/7 yard operations, predictive maintenance for machinery, and digital traffic systems all cut costs and turnaround times. Yet, automation isn't always a win-win. In Los Angeles, dock worker strikes erupted over job losses tied to automation, a sign that technology must be matched with workforce development and fair transition plans. Cross-border integration brings its own set of challenges. With supply chains spanning continents, companies must manage a tangle of customs rules, taxes, and digital standards. India's digital platform centralizes data across ministries, enabling fast, secure cargo movements. In Ukraine, the Black Sea corridor pivoted from deep-water ports to alternative Danube routes after conflict struck, keeping 76% of agricultural exports flowing. Chile's transport sector demonstrates the power of integrating logistics directly with agriculture value chains to boost competitiveness. But cross-border trade is also shaped by geopolitics. The emergence of new corridors, like the India-Middle East-Europe Economic Corridor, China's Belt and Road, and the North-South Transport Corridor, reflects a world where resilience is built by diversifying routes, avoiding choke points, and investing in massive new infrastructure. Of course, none of this is easy. Regulatory complexity, talent shortages, cyber risks, and the need for climate-resilient infrastructure are major barriers. The best companies don't just adopt new tech. They transform how teams collaborate, prioritize data quality, and forge partnerships across government, tech, and industry. So what can we learn from these stories and the latest research? First, the winners are those who act fast, investing in digital integration, data quality, and human talent. They build resilience not as a buzzword, but as a day-to-day reality. They lead the way on sustainability, knowing that efficiency and decarbonization go hand in hand. And they're not afraid to experiment, running digital twin simulations, partnering for public-private infrastructure, and upskilling their people for a digital future. For leaders, the message is clear. The future is integrated, digital, and sustainable, or it is nothing. The smart supply chain is no longer a luxury. It is the only way to survive and thrive in a world that is more connected and more unpredictable than ever. Let's keep moving forward, one real-time decision at a time.